Today I'm gonna be unboxing and setting up our new gimbal rig with the DJI RS4 Pro and the Tilta ring grip for our Blackmagic Micro Studio G2 camera. I'm gonna be starting with the Tilta Advanced ring grip, and from there I'm gonna build everything on top of the ring. And here is the ring grip itself. We have one of the control handles, and here we have another one. So we got two, one for the right hand, one for the left hand. The top part of the ring grip, it already feels really light. So that's nice, made of carbon fiber. Here we have the bottom piece with the feet, of course, which you just click and then they snap into place. Real nice, which allows you to put it down like this. In here we have a transmitter dongle for the grips so that they can wirelessly communicate with the gimbal itself. I'm gonna start with placing the grips on top of the ring. So this one will be on my right hand. I'm gonna have to take these rubber caps off on the top and bottom. They have little gold contact pins here on the bottom and on the top. Those are for giving power throughout the entire ring, going all the way around. You place it in there and then you just start screwing it in. Moving on to our second handle, again, covers. And what I didn't mention is you have these little holes here which will line up in the pins that you have inside here. So you can't really mess this up. You can put them forwards or backwards, but you cannot accidentally mount it sideways. So it always snaps into place like that, and then it's sturdy. You also have a battery compartment here in the back for an 18650 battery, which would allow you to use this wirelessly and away from the ring. So say you had the basic ring grips, you could essentially hold this in your hand and remotely move the gimbal using the wireless transmitter. Now we're gonna put on our top part, which again just slots on like that, and then we will, and there we go. That's our ring grip completely installed. This top part is meant to be used with the grip of the RS4 Pro itself, the battery handle. I want to be using it with an easy rig, and a lot of people, just clamp down that big handle. I personally don't like that. It's not really safe. So I will be taking this part of the gimbal ring off. I will be adding my own part here from Tilta, which essentially is meant to be used with a V-mount plate of Tilta as well. I, however, will be using it in an own unique way, and that is essentially with my rest in peace box. That is essentially with this old top handle from Small Rig. I'm clumsy. Essentially, that will be this top handle from Small Rig that I still had. It used to come with a 3/8 screw with locking pins. I took that out, and my idea basically is that this is supposed to be screwing into the V-mount plate from Tilta. But as you can see, it has a 3/8 screw with locking pins. So essentially, I could screw that 3/8 and locking pins into my top handle, which, you guessed it, would give me a really nice, just slim top handle on the ring. And since I could put an eye bolt in here for my easy rig, I could use the Kong, quick release adapter, or I could just take that adapter off and just clamp the easy rig straight onto this skinnier handle. You might be thinking, but then how will I be powering the ring? Because normally you would power it from the DJI battery, but that's why we have these contact pins here on the bottom of the ring. And there we will be plugging in this guy. This is essentially the adapter to have a V-mount plate on the bottom or on the top of your ring grip. First up, I'm gonna be taking off this handle. This is not really how you're supposed to do it, but who cares? This is my rig. So I'm gonna do whatever I want, and this works for me. So I'm just gonna be unscrewing these tiny little hex screws on the top here to loosen the clamp. God damn, look at how long that screw is. Now that we have our bracket completely off, this is what we're left with. So essentially, we now also have contact pins left over on the top. We'll not be using those. I'll be using this little clamp here, like I told you, with the 3/8 on the back. And this angle here actually determines the angle of my top handle. I'm gonna check out what it looks like with the top handle on. I made a mistake. I actually have to screw the top handle on before I put it on, or else I cannot access the screw that's in the back here for me to even turn this 3/8 screw. So I'm screwing the top handle into this little adapter right now. The screw is not catching on properly. Quick little explainer. Since these locating pins were supposed to be coming from the top into the handle, which makes sense, because this little piece were the locating pins that were in here in the first place, and they had a little groove from the bottom, which made them, you know, not fall through. But that little groove was in my way while trying to actually put the locating pins in from the bottom. So it made the hole a little bit smaller than they had to be. So what I did is I actually put this in from the bottom, and I just rammed it in there to kind of, you know, shave off the little edges. And that actually made enough clearance for me to put the locating pins in from the bottom side. So I managed to tighten this, and this is now on there nice and tight. Let's put our top handle on for now. All right, that looks nice and straight. So I'm gonna tighten this down all the way. And there we go. Now we have our top handle, which is nice and sturdy and a lot slimmer than if we would have used the battery grip from the gimbal itself. Now we're moving on to our V-mount plate, which we'll be placing on the bottom, which will power the whole ring, and it will power the gimbal itself. So here we have it, our V-mount adapter, which has the insert of the rod, and it has pins on the inside, which will connect onto these gold pins that we have on the bottom here, or that we have on the top. In order to put this on, first we have to remove the backing here, which we will do by removing these 4 and 3 screws. Here now you can very well see the gold plated pins. You can put it forwards or backwards. I prefer to just put it forwards because even though the battery is tilted downwards slightly, at least I can, you know, read the percentage of the battery normal instead of having to look upside down. You have this little groove here, which is not in the top. And that groove corresponds with this groove here. So, like I told you, if you want to have this V-mount plate upright, you're gonna have to put the groove on the top so that the groove here lines up. Now I'm gonna screw in these screws. Next up is this little breakout box piece, and this also connects with the gold pins that I already showed you on the bottom and the top. For the balance of the ring itself, since we already have our battery on the left side, we actually want to put this breakout box on the right side, which is also where our monitor is gonna be, so that it's imbalanced. Instead of having everything on the left side, which will bring imbalance to the gimbal ring, which will make it tougher to, you know, operate. And it's nice and balanced if we have something on the right, something on the left. Maybe later down the road, I'll change the battery to the right and the monitor to the left, depending on how I like to operate the gimbal. Again, on the inside, this has the gold contact pins, and here you have a USB-C out and a D-tap out. I would like to have seen more D-taps on here. Unfortunately, on the front, there is no power at all. I will be putting on my own little D-tap splitter on the back here so that we at least have 4 D-tap outputs. So again, we have to take all these 4 screws out in order to take this back piece off so that we can put it on the ring. Again, we have this little slit here on the bottom, which we do not have on the top. So we'll look here, and here we have our slit on the top and not on the bottom. So this will determine if we have our outputs on the front or on the back. Here in the back, we have a giant hole, which will line up with this hole inside of the back piece. That lines it up perfectly, so it will not budge or move. Now our distribution plate is on here nice and snug. I'm gonna use this tiny little NATO rail to attach my monitor arm to. Now I'm gonna be moving on to the gimbal itself. So I'm gonna move this over to the side right now. And here we have it, the RS4 Pro by DJI. Here's the carrying case, including the RS4 Pro itself. And there it is, the gimbal itself. Nice and packaged. We got some stickers up here. We have a secondary tab with all of the accessories itself. So here we have a briefcase handle, which of course all of you know, you can put this on the side of the gimbal and then you have handle on the back. We've got the little feet, tripod feet for the underside of the gimbal. We have the plate itself for it to go onto the ring or onto the gimbal. We will be needing that. Here we have the battery grip, which we will not be using. Of course, this normally would have gone up in this slot that was normally on there. So then you would have had this big clunky ass handle on the top. I mean, it feels nice in the hand, but for clamping an easy rig on, which I will be doing like 99% of the time, this handle is really thick, so you'd really have to stretch out your easy rig, which I would not want to do. And comparing the two sizes to each other, like, yeah, it's a big, first of all, this weighs a lot because it has a big battery inside, which I wouldn't even be utilizing because we would have the V-mount on the bottom. And this handle weighs like next to nothing. So this whole rig is still really light. This whole like battery grip weighs almost as much as this whole ring. Like, I'm not kidding. This is almost the same weight. So imagine. What I don't like about this whole gimbal setup is this weird ass plate. You can put screws in here, screw it on your camera, but this whole part is just sticking out. Or you would need to have an Arca, cage around your camera, which will slide in like this. Or you would have to put this weird chunky ass block on your camera, which doesn't even have locking pins, mind you. And if you're gonna be using a gimbal with just 1/4 20 screw without locking pins, and that screw gets undone a little bit by, shaking it while you're on a car or heavy, quick pans and tilts, this screw will become loose. Sure, there's some, rubber padding to prevent it from sliding around, but come on, DJI, like, why are there no locking pins here? Like, it wouldn't even make it that much more expensive. Like, just a no-brainer. Not that it matters, because no one else uses the same base plate that I have. It's just an old, nice E-rig base plate from 5 years ago. But this first ridge of the Arca Swiss can actually slot in between here, so that I can actually line up my 2/4 20s on the bottom. So the bottom top Arca Swiss part goes in the little slot, which actually clears my screws. Because if I would have put the Arca Swiss underneath, it actually barely doesn't clear my top 1/4 20. So I guess, I got lucky, but DJI, no one's watching this from DJI, but fix this plate, like, come on. Yeah, Tilta and Small Rig, whatever, offer a replacement for this that does not have this Arca Swiss mount and it's just a plate. But if you're buying an expensive gimbal like this, you don't want to be buying, accessories upon accessories. Not to mention, this little plastic piece, which is, I don't know, supposed to be some kind of support. What is this? This is just like cheaply made. It's just cheap ass plastic. And it's supposed to slide in here or something, friction mounted. Not a fan of this at all. Like, just throw that away. I have ordered a huge 70 by 70 centimeter hard case from Nanook so that I can fit this whole ring just fully fitted out into a hard case, so that if I'm on set, I can just, you know, pull out the whole rig without me having to tinker with anything except just taking off my transmitter and monitor from my A-cam. So let's start by putting on the gimbal onto the ring itself. So we want to have the back facing, the screen facing the back, and then we just have this standard connection, which is the same connection as on the battery grip itself. Lock it down. So now we could lift this up by the gimbal itself. So here I've got one of my small rig 155 batteries, which I'll be placing on our V-mount plate right here. So it's just a normal V-mount plate and it's on there. Now I'm gonna be putting the plate on the bottom of the Micro G2 and balance it on the gimbal. Now the whole gimbal is balanced and set up with the camera on top. As you can see, we have this little wireless transmitter with the pins, and we can place that on this little NATO rail here on the side. That way we can communicate with these hand grips to the gimbal. And now if you've done it correctly, you see this little green light is on. Hand grips are now on, and now I will read the manual on how to connect the hand grips to the gimbal itself. Spoiler alert, I don't have to read anything because I'm moving the joystick, and as you can see, the gimbal is actually responding already straight away. So that's big bonus points for Tilta, I guess, for coming calibrated out of the box and connected straight away. So that's a good job from Tilta right there. Now I'll be moving on to mounting my SMART-HD Indy 7 monitor, my Holyland Mars 4K transmitter, and I'm gonna mount the monitor on the NATO rail to NATO rail with this small little NATO rail that I put on there. I've got my SMART-Z monitor and my transmitter mounted on here, and now it's actually time to cable manage this whole system. So I'll start cable managing and then I'll be right back. The whole rig is all done. Cable managed all the cables up here, and I've got this nice slack here on my HDMI wire, so wherever I move the gimbal, it'll always have a nice amount of slack to my monitor up here. And of course, I've got my transmitter so that my first AC can pull focus with the focus motor on the G2. It's a nice package. The weight is not that bad. Of course, I'll be running it with an easy rig as well. Since this camera is so nice and small, it's the Blackmagic Micro G2 Studio. It's actually the live streaming camera, but as a permanent B cam on a gimbal like this, it actually works really well. And of course, since our Pyxis 12K that we're shooting this video with is our A cam, which is also B-RAW, they will match up perfectly in post. That's been my video about rigging this big gimbal rig. And thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments down below. Here's my Instagram if you guys want to follow along, see some behind the scene content of the projects that I am on. And as always, have a nice day.